Glenn Clark Radio, talking about the sports you do and don't know, both within and surrounding Baltimore. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no, stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio, Glenn Clark Radio.
How about the timing of when my t-shirt arrived? How about that? Yeah, just in time. Ready for a first pitch, I guess. That's what I got. Hi. Good morning. Happy opening day.
Show off the t-shirt. Nice.
Over the weekend, which was great because it's right in time to celebrate there not being a coach. That was what was in time to celebrate.
Really
so we
excited
got
about the
that.
head coach search.
Got that going for us, which is nice. That's something. Hi, I know early start today as they move the game up to 2:30, and I do like the homecoming nature of opening day. So we'll try to get out of here and get down to the game. And here's the thing about opening day. I get it. I'm there and you're there. So you're like, well, let's link up. And that sounds great, except for the fact that, like, I actually do want to watch the game. It's the crazy thing about me. This is why we get frustrated. Everybody knows I love Rita. She's one of my best friends. But Rita will get annoyed by the first thing that goes wrong in a game.
As you should.
First time something goes wrong, she'll get annoyed, and she's like, they get on my nerves, and she wants to walk away. And she'll just go wander to some other part of the ballpark. Now, Rita and I literally 1 year on opening day. Now, this is back when the Orioles were bad, so we just walked the entire stadium during the course of the game. We spent a little time out at Dempsey's, which I guess isn't Dempsey's anymore. I don't know I don't remember. It's not the thing it became after Dempsey's either. It's something else now.
Yeah, I don't know. No.
Yeah, because then it was a Superbook thing, and that's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
The food place.
Yeah. And then let's go to the center field bar, and then let's go. Like, she wanted to do the rounds. And we spent time talking to people, and it was lovely. It was lovely. You're there, and I'm there. And I get it. You're going to see that I'm there because I'm going to post a picture of it. And you're going to say, oh, I'm here too. And that's going to be the end of it. If we bump into each other, swell. Swell.
Man,
It's swell. I love that. But I'm not doing the thing where it's like, there's not empty seats by you either. That's the you go to a game next week, say, hey, come sit by me. There's an entire row. Sure. Today, no such seats exist. So if I come over to try to see you, I'm just going to be pissing people off. That's all that's going to happen. I'm going to be in their way. Stop. Just stop. This is when I turn into Larry David, is today.
yeah, well.
Today.
Today's when you turn into him?
I'm not doing any of that. I'll be in my seats unless somebody offers me something better. And you could. Today's seats aren't great.
They sound pretty good.
They're not great.
What's wrong? What do you mean?
They're in the upper deck on the third base side.
I love the upper deck.
Yeah, I don't mind the upper deck behind home plate. That's where I like, if I'm going to be in the upper deck behind home plate. In fact, I would argue is one of the best seats in the ballpark. But we are on the third base side, and that awkward position where you're not really facing the field, you know?
Well,
like,
when you're on the lower, like I know when you're down low and you're on the third base side, you're not facing the field.
You're still really not upstairs. You're still really not. Anyway,
yeah,
the
but you
moral of
still
the
got
story.
an arrow. You got the view of everything.
Yeah, sure.
The 360 view.
If you've got better, by all means, hi, Glenn Clark here. I'm happy to leave Griffin sitting by himself.
Well,
if you have room for Griffin too, yeah, sure, why not? But yes, the thing where you want to be like, hey, let's hook up. There's lots of days. We could hook up tomorrow, for example. We could hook up next weekend.
There's no game tomorrow.
I understand that. In real life. Today, I'm going to watch the baseball game. That's my plan for the day. So saith the Lord. So there we go. That's what I had to say to you. Coming up, we will preview the Red Sox with our buddy Lou Merloni. We'll talk some Orioles with Mike Bordick. And yes, we will get into the most important topic of the day. It is the 30th anniversary of Tommy Boy. That's exactly the reason why we're here, is we're going to do a full-on celebration of the greatest film ever made. That's
cool.
the reason why we're doing this.
Looking forward to that.
We'll talk about Kevin Willard. Dan Bonner will join us. I'll be writing about Kevin Willard today at PressBoxOnline.com. A little bit about Kevin Willard, a little bit more about Maryland's search. I actually had to stop because I was going to write even more, and then I realized I was already at 1,100 words, and yeah. So I didn't even, in my column, get into the football stuff and all the other things that we've been talking about. Twofold. Just quickly, so we've addressed it. Because I do think today we want this to be a happy day. It's opening day. Would have been happier if the Orioles could have, scratched more runs across the board yesterday. But I'm not. You guys are angry that Kevin Willard kind of proved to be a weasel. Except, oddly, not Griffin and Stan, who put on a strange performance on Friday where they were like, I'm not mad at Stan. I have no idea who he's hearing from. Stan's like, I can't be mad at Kevin Willard. He's just saying that this job, he can't do the job like this, which is, I got to be honest. And I was trying to be nice because I love Stan. Everybody knows that. It's uttering, whoever is feeding that to him, it was bullshit from the moment that they started. And this is the problem with ever trying to take someone at their word. You're mad. But you weren't mad about how Kevin Willard left Seton Hall. It didn't bother you. Why didn't it bother you? Because it's not your concern. F Seton Hall. Who cares about Seton Hall? Plus, they were getting the guy that just, led St. Peter's out of the first weekend. They were getting a legend coming home in Shaheen Holloway. So, who cares that Kevin Willard was a snake on his way out the door at Seton Hall? This is how the game works. It doesn't make it okay. Kevin Willard was negotiating with Maryland while he knew he was going to Villanova. He wanted to be at Villanova. I'm not. It's his right. He can do that. That's the way the system works. To be fair, it's now at least equitable for players. As Jay Billis pointed out, the transfer portal is always open for coaches. And now it's at least equitable for the players. They can go whenever they want to go. The coaches can go whenever they want to go. So we're mad, but this is just kind of how it works. Maryland's probably going to end up poaching a coach from somewhere else. Are you going to be mad about that? Let's just say it's Mark Byington at Vanderbilt. I don't think it's going to be, for the record, but let's just say it is. That's a place where they finally breathed a little bit of life into the basketball program, which had been dormant. And they were looking at the possibility, if Edwards comes back next year, of having like a senior-laden team that has a real chance to go do something. And then you'd be taking their coach, who's, I assume, telling everybody how excited he is about next year, and then presumably trying to take their players as well. Would you be mad at Mark Byington as a Maryland fan? It's how the game works. And none of it makes it okay what Kevin Willard is doing. I'm not trying to give him a pass. This is just how the game works. Kevin Willard's a weasel, but they all are. Like, they all are. And to be fair, we all would be too. it's easy to say, well, this is unscrupulous. Well, tell me how many scruples you'd have if the job you want is the job that's on the table. The only thing that I could possibly say is, would you have preferred that 2 weeks ago Kevin Willard just openly told everyone, I'm going to Villanova. I'm going to coach this team through the NCAA tournament. That's the Will Wade thing, right? The Will Wade thing was openly tell everybody. But it's easier to say that because we all know Will Wade was making a jump up, right? This is, for the most part, more of a lateral move. You want to say it's slightly, yeah, I give you maybe slightly up. But when Will Wade was hired at McNeese, everyone at McNeese knew that if he had success, he was leaving. That's part of the game. That wasn't the feeling at Maryland. So would we have preferred that Kevin Willard just said at the outset of the NCAA tournament, guys, I'm out. I'm headed to Villanova. The players know. Everyone here knows. Maryland needs to start looking for a coach. If they want to go ahead and hire somebody, that's fine. I have agreed I will stay on and coach the team through the NCAA tournament. I hope we win a national championship, and that's my last game as a Maryland coach. It's so unprecedented that I don't know how we would feel about it. Once upon a time, Bill Friedel tried to do it from Michigan to Arizona State, and Bo Schembechler said, go F yourself. I don't know what our response would be. My guess is we wouldn't feel any better about Kevin Willard. The thing that we're doing, we're saying the real problem is the way that he spoke about it. We were going to have a problem with it no matter what. As I said before, if he said nothing, if in that first initial press conference, when he was asked about it, he said, I'm not going to talk about it, which is easily what we say he should have done, our response would have been, well, he's saying everything we need to know. Everything we need to know, he's saying right there. Kevin Willard's a weasel, but that's because the system is for weasels. Like, if you want to fix this, then no one's allowed to get into the coaching market until
after the national championship, or until maybe this week.
And the transfer portal, no, I would say after the national championship. And the transfer portal doesn't open until May. It's the only possible way. But even then, it won't be fixed, because as soon as the team season is over, they're going to be looking for a coach. It's like suggesting that football teams aren't going to tamper with free agents. Hey, you know this is a free agent. You know that you need a player, but you're not allowed to try to figure out if you might be a match. Well, what? Yeah, you can't. Sure, you're going to bump into the agent at the combine, but you're not going to talk to him about a contract? No, you wouldn't do that. It's kind of unavoidable. And is Kevin Willard a worse person because he aired the dirty laundry of the university out? That the strongest argument for what Kevin Willard did that was particularly wrong here would be that he sowed division within the athletic department. That he threw grenades on the way out the door. Maryland obviously has lots of warts within the athletic department, but the notion that it meant that Kevin Willard couldn't compete, again, was bullshit. Like, it's saying things for your own edification. It's utter and complete nonsense. And as has been reported, he was offered more revenue-sharing money than any team in the Big Ten is going to spend other than Indiana. Spare me. Now, I get it. In his mind, the job might be even easier at Villanova. And has been made clear to me, Kevin Willard really did not adjust to the Big Ten well at all. He didn't. He thought it was basketball first. Basketball, this is Maryland. Basketball is the only thing that matters. And was stunned to find out that wasn't exactly the case. By the way, it's not that at Indiana either. Or at Michigan State. he didn't adjust to the Big Ten well. He really didn't adjust to the travel demands and the West Coast teams coming into the league. Behind the scenes, he was very frustrated about that. I mean, when the Big East, when this new Pac-12 fails and the Big East adds Gonzaga, I don't know what he's going to do about that, but I guess that's still probably going to be a few years before they have to worry about that. There is no woe is Kevin Willard here. I know there was a lot of dunking on like Gary Parrish on CBS. Is like, I don't think this has been a lot of fun for Kevin Willard. Who effing cares? Like, imagine that being your concern. He wants to be at Villanova. He likes the Big East. He likes Madison Square Garden. He likes New York. He's really angry that he didn't get to spend an extra night in New York. He's going to get to, presumably, spend more nights in New York as a head coach in the Big East. Although I assume they'd travel back to Villanova after a game at St. John's.
No, Kevin's going to say they stay.
Yeah, Probably. They're going to have a little bit more money to play with revenue share-wise. And probably a more active set of boosters. Because, again, they're still living off of the fact that they won 2 national championships in the last 10 years. Jay Wright made Kevin Willard's job better. Not Kevin Willard, Jay Wright. If the job is better at Villanova, it's just because they had a coach more recently that was successful. Sowing division within the Maryland Athletic Department was gross. Was tacky. Maryland fans themselves have plenty of opinions about how invested Maryland should be in football. That's going to exist no matter what. But for you, on your way out with 9 toes out the door, to be throwing those grenades, I mean, get the F out. Maryland's got their own set of problems. As I said before, I don't think it's a very good job. I don't. I think it's inflated by certain things. But I've realized at some point in the last 8 years that the totality of the things that you're up against outweigh the totality of, a place where they've won a national championship and
location,
the proximity to the hubs of talent. Those are fine things, but being an academics first school, which is what Maryland is going to be, and ask every coach how difficult it has been for them. When there was a kid that was close, can we do something to try to get this kid in? No. No, we can't. And I understand. You're going to point out, well, Duke's in that academics first school too. You're right. You're right. Which means it's not impossible. But Stanford's an academics first school, and how's that been going? The difficulty, Duke also has a lot of inherent advantages, to Mike Krzyzewski's credit, right? Like, he built all of that. And the league conspired to help him, right? Like, the league existed to the benefit of Duke and North Carolina. They set things up for those schools' benefit. Beneficial scheduling, beneficial locations, beneficial partnerships, all of those things. The ACC exists to benefit Duke and North Carolina basketball-wise. Because they sure as hell have given up on football. Lord.
Well, you got 2 teams in the playoff.
That's
right?
true. That's a good point. They did get 2 teams in the playoff. You're right about that. You're right about that. They did sneak that second team in the playoff. But that team, one of those teams is about to be gone. Like, Clemson ain't going to be in the ACC much longer. And if SMU can keep throwing their money around, they might be able to buy their way into a Super League too. I assume they can buy their way into a Super League. I say all of this to say I don't think it's a very good job. I'm not defending Maryland. It's their right to say we're going to prioritize academics over athletics. That's their right. They're going to spend the money that's necessary. If you, as someone who cares about Maryland, you can spend more of your money that way. That's the difference. This goes back to the thing that we talk about. Like, this is a pro-centric area, and there's unique challenges related to Maryland. Geographically located closer to a city where half of the city has no reason to associate with Maryland. If you live in the district, half of it, more than half of it, if you live in the district itself or in Northern Virginia, what is your association with Maryland? Why does the flag mean something to you if you're a D.C. or Northern Virginia native? Which doesn't mean that some of those people aren't Maryland fans or don't support Maryland. They do. But inherently, the geographically closest city to market to is a market where more than half of the people are predisposed to have no concern about the University of Maryland. And then the smaller market that would otherwise be ravenous because it's less of a pro sports town, it's less of a transient town, half of those people say, yeah, you're the University of D.C. And half of those people don't. This is not like Ohio State where literally the entire state associates with you and connects with the university. Or even places like Michigan where there's two universities and you either connect with one or you connect with the other. This is a geographical area where a lot of people are predisposed to not give a crap. It makes the job more difficult than people realize when they're on the outside. This is the type of stuff that Kevin Willard can't possibly know about when he takes the Maryland job. Then he comes in and he experiences and he's like, what am I doing? And I don't know how different it is in Philadelphia. I don't know how many people in general Philadelphia give a crap about Villanova. I couldn't tell you. I've never worked in Philadelphia. I've got Philadelphia friends, and I would say it's 50-50.
There's also there's
there's plenty of Temple people. There's lots of Penn State people in Philadelphia. There's lots of people that are just pro sports fans that don't care about college stuff. I sense that when Villanova is good, they care, they're invested, they're interested, but I don't know that it's in their blood type of thing to care about Villanova. It's a conversation for another day. Not our problem. Where does Maryland go from here? Steve Blake wants the job. As I write about, look, man, Steve Blake is, when you look at Steve Blake, you're like, that's the type of guy that would be a great coach.
He's the one that should have coached Thursday night is what you're saying?
Like, you just look at him and you say everything about Steve Blake, his temperament, his leadership on the floor. He was a 4-year starter. As a freshman, he was thought of as a leader at a time where Gary Williams had never started a freshman point guard. Never started a freshman point guard because of the significance of the point guard position and obviously it being a different era of basketball. That's the type of leader that Steve Blake was. It's your job. You got it. Steve Blake earned the trust and respect of Kobe Bryant to the point where Kobe Bryant was pissed off when the Lakers traded him to the Trailblazers afterwards. His father was like his coach. He wasn't, I've said it over the years, like he was the son of a coach. His father wasn't actually the high school basketball coach. Oddly, do you know who Steve Blake's high school basketball coach was?
So I should know.
No, you shouldn't. Frank Martin was his high school basketball coach, right? Like, go figure. It's just interesting. But his father very much coached him, and he's talked about how that impacted him. Steve Blake checks every box, except for the box where you get hired to be the second highest paid employee in the state. It's the thing that I keep trying to explain to people when they just say, hey, it's time to do something crazy. It's time to, qualifications be damned. Go get the guy that cares the most. You still have to say to the stakeholders, which in this case is a group of taxpayers, why it is that this person should be the second highest paid employee in the state. What has that person done to have earned that right? Now, probably easier to do that with Steve Blake, who's a very popular person for the most part, than it is to do with, like a one-off assistant coach. I think Luke Murray would probably do a good job, but I get why somebody would say it'd be easier to pass off Steve Blake to the taxpayers than it would be Luke Murray, who overwhelmingly they'd never heard of. I still think that Maryland's going to go the traditional route of hiring a coach. They're going to hire someone with at least mid-major, if not high-major, head coaching experience. Buzz Williams, we know, just keeps batting his eyelashes in the direction of Maryland. Hey, guys, I'm here. Hey, boys. You seen me over by the pool? I've got a new bikini on. I have not gotten a sense of how reciprocal that is from Maryland, the interest in Buzz Williams, as much as it's just like, oh, right, he's a candidate. He's someone. I continue to think that it's got to matter. Like, one of the things that as much as you're trying to find out the guy that you think could be a basketball coach for 20 to 30 years, what you really should be trying to figure out is who's the guy that can help you compete next year. The foundation stuff be damned. Hey, we got to accept that the team's not going to be good in a year. T.J. Otzelberger proved that doesn't have to be the case. Kevin Willard won in his first season at Maryland. Now, he probably owes Danny Manning a good amount of credit for that, because Danny Manning kept that program afloat and is part of the reason why Juju Reese didn't disappear. Thank you, Danny Manning. But I'm not predisposed to say next year's going to stink. So I'm predisposed to say if you think someone can bring 3 to 4 players between high school commits, guys he was already working on in the transfer portal, and proven commodities that played for him at his last location, that's high on my qualification list for the next head coach at Maryland. If somehow Steve Blake's got that, I don't know who it would be. But let's just say there's like a group of people that worked in like players that played in like Kobe Bryant's academy that like love Steve Blake because of it, that would say wherever that guy goes, we're going with him. Okay, we're talking now. I don't have the answer on who the next coach should be. I really don't. I'm not inclined to say it's got to be. I love the emotional plays. It's been so bad. It's time. The next person has to care about Maryland. Next person has to succeed. 3 weeks ago, we were all fine with Kevin Willard being the next coach at Maryland because he was succeeding. We were good. Guys got to. Yes, I'd love it if there was a Maryland person. If Dwayne Simpkins is really ready to be the Maryland coach, I get it. It's never happened. We've never seen Patriot League to Big Ten. But if you dive in on Dwayne Simpkins and you got every reason to believe that he is ready for this challenge, and there are players that are already lining up to come play for Dwayne Simpkins at Maryland, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'd love for it to be someone who cares about Maryland. But my priority is that they're ready to go. That they understand how the game is being played. That they're prepared for the NIL and portal and revenue share era. That they're going to hit the ground running. Whether they care about Maryland or whether they don't know a thing about Maryland basketball. That's what I'm concerned about. Next guy's got to succeed. Because it's still been over 2 decades since Maryland advanced to an Elite 8. This season was fun, but didn't even involve an actual accomplishment. That's Maryland basketball. I mean, it's the reality of Maryland basketball. Be writing about it today at PressBoxOnline.com. I hope you go check it out. Stan the Fan and Ross Grimsley and Luke Jackson will get back in the swing of weekly shows. I don't believe it's going to be today that they're going to be doing that because, there's a little bit of a baseball game that's going on. But they'll be doing that again starting this week. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan's Weekly Shows brought to you by the Costas Inn, who we're still thinking about and we love. Appreciate those guys, and you can find those shows again. Stan, Ross, and Luke. Every week we'll be talking about baseball throughout the course of the season. You'll want to make sure that you are checking that out. Orioles, Red Sox, home opener, coming up today at 2:35. There was one man of the match from the weekend. They only won one of the 3 games since the last time we were together. And on Saturday, it was Ramon Urias's bases-clearing double that turned the tide in the game. So, man of the match going up on the board. Ramon Urias, second man of the match of the weekend, thanks to his bases-clearing double in the Orioles' win over the Blue Jays on Saturday. The pitching, we'll get into it in 3 Up and 3 Down coming up a little bit later on. Joining us now, one of our friends, despite the fact that he is a Red Sox through and through. Kind of would have liked it better when the Red Sox weren't trying, if I'm being totally honest with you. He is an analyst for NESN. He is former Red Sox infielder, Mr. Lou Merloni. And he is back with us here on GCR. Lou, it's Glenn. It's good to talk with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Anytime, Glenn. Yeah, it's a beautiful day here. What's going on with the weather? It's kind of warm.
It's warm, and then there's like storms in the forecast later. It's this like weird bit. This is kind of Baltimore. This is the deal. I think I'm packed for all 4 seasons. I'm in the studio right now, but I'm leaving to get down to the ballpark, and I'm prepared for literally all 4 seasons to occur during the course of today. It's just the way that it works.
I'm in the midst of a 4 days in Florida, 3 days in Mexico, 5 days in Texas, and 4 days in Baltimore. So my bag has got a lot of variety.
Man, this sounds like a Kenny Powers story, if I'm being honest. Hey,
an interesting trip.
I know the weekend in Texas didn't go so great, but that being said, Lou, I really enjoyed it a lot more when the Red Sox were like not trying and not trying to be good, and we could just sort of like it wasn't Murderers Row in the AL East. It was I really like those days better. I am very concerned that this Red Sox team is primed now to be back in business and competitive to win the AL East.
Yeah, and you're right. I do think it's a good team. Okay, this is a good team. This team should compete for a playoff spot. To be honest with you, it should be in the playoffs. That's not to say that there aren't a few concerns 4 games into it, because there are. But at the same point, this team's pitching staff is good. It's deep. It's got some high-end talent with additions to Crochet and Buehler, the minor league prospects. As you guys know, you have an injury, and all of a sudden, boom, you can call up a great prospect, a guy that's ready for the big league. So it's a deep team and a good club.
So what is, tell me now, when you look at the roster as constructed, and I know there was all the drama about, Devers and Bregman in the offseason, but what are the actual concerns about this team, separated from whatever happened this weekend, because it's the first weekend. This is certainly not a sample size.
I would say before the weekend, I would say it's always bullpen concerns. When you're a good club expecting to play, get to the playoffs and get there and do some damage, it's always like, can you win the games? Can you close them out? When you're leading after 7, it's got to be a W. And Liam Hendricks started the year in the IL, been through a lot, Tommy John cancer. So you're just sort of like, okay, is Chapman, Slayton, Whitlock's got some health concerns as well. Is that going to be enough? They were outstanding the first time we've seen them. But you're always worried about the bullpen. Devers is still a concern.
Okay.
And it's real. I've never seen anybody go 0 for 16 with 12 strikeouts and not even come close. And even when he made contact, it was kind of like check swings and things. So he had a really slow camp, obviously a lot of drama with the Bregman, doesn't want to DH. still not really happy about DHing, but willing to go out there. Took about the shoulders. He had a rest of shoulders that were bothering him at the end of last year. Really missed a lot of time in camp. It was probably 3 weeks of games where he didn't participate in, and it was a little strange. It was, he didn't want to play in spring training games because he didn't feel his swing was right and wanted more swings on the backfield. When the reality is spring training games don't matter, and that is where you try to find your swing, not in the backfield. So it was just a really weird spring for him, and it kind of looks like right now he's just not ready.
So it's funny you bring that up, Lou, because we're going to talk about Ryan Mountcastle in a minute. And over the weekend, there was a report from Bob Nightingale that the Orioles are looking to trade Ryan Mountcastle, and it happened to be that he had kind of a miserable weekend in Toronto, a place where he usually bashes and murders the Blue Jays. How much does that stuff, like when we talk about the Devers stuff, how much do you buy into the idea that all of that translates to what you're seeing early on in the season? And generically for baseball players, how much of that is real, that when there are, I'm not happy about this, or perhaps in Mountcastle's case, finding out that the team's looking to trade him, how much of that does impact a player on the field?
I think it depends on the player. I think everybody's different. Some people, it motivates them, and that's what players it's all about. Like, it doesn't matter how you get motivated, just get motivated. Others take it personal, and others sort of look around like they've been lied to, especially if it's an organization you've been with your whole life. Like, and this is really what happened with Devers. It was, how it is with the media circling, they're interested in Arenado, they're going to sign Bregman, and they keep going to him and saying, don't worry about it. Maybe the media's making more of it. Maybe we're not interested in these players, but, and then all of a sudden it happens, and you never want to tell the guy, and that's the thing. You get rumors about Mountcastle being traded. You never want to openly admit it as an organization that, we're trying to trade him, because if it falls through, you're stuck with this pissed off player. So you kind of keep it from him. You deny reports. This is what you do in all sports, and you deal with it when you have to deal with it. So, but when the rumors get out swirling and you start believing them and your agent's telling you, then everybody reacts differently. And maybe Mountcastle feels like he's being burned or lied to or mistreated or whatever. And maybe it's affecting him a little bit.
He is Lou Merloni. He is with us here on GCR ahead of the Orioles and Red Sox opening up their series this afternoon. On the flip side of Rafael Devers' start, Christian Campbell, I will tell you that I might have a Rookie of the Year futures bet in on Christian Campbell. How good is this kid, and how much are we going to hate him for the years to come here in Baltimore?
It's strange. 2 years ago, he's playing for Georgia Tech, he gets drafted, and he has one full season, and he goes from a guy that maybe wasn't even a top 30 Red Sox prospects to a top 5, top 10 prospect in the game with the year he put in. He's big. He is strong. This guy swings it. It's a unique swing. They believe in it. I mean, there was really no weakness last year in the minor leagues, and he had a tough camp. Like, it was almost one of those, like, you were waiting to have that one game where you said, okay, there it is. And there were signs, but to be honest with you, this was really more of a belief system. This was almost like an organizational, analytical, like, trust us, this guy can hit situation. And he makes the club, and there was still some question whether he should be at second, whether he should have won that job. And he's come out here in camp, and after opening day nerves, he's just been hitting the ball all over the ballpark with authority. He's, second base, he's still raw. He hasn't played many minor league games. He's only hit like 40 minor league games at second base, and he's played a lot of outfield. He's played some shortstop, so he's a little bit raw, but he's a quick learner, and this is what's impressive about the group of prospects they have. Like, I saw him opening day out in spring training turning double plays, and my first thought was, can't do it. Feet were all over the place. And 3 weeks later, I went and saw him, and I couldn't get over how much he already improved. He has a game in left field as well. I think they'll kind of keep moving him around. He's a talent. He's got some bat speed, and boy, when he hits it, it gets loud.
It's I'm terrified. I'm terrified of how good that young man is going to be for a long time to come. Why did it take so long for the Bregman thing to play out? Was it the awkwardness of the Devers situation? Was it that the Red Sox had doubts about whether he was worth the amount of money he was looking for? And where is Bregman at this point in his career, Lou?
I think it's really had more to do with Bregman, like waiting for the right spot. You know, when a free agent waits as long as Alex waited, he's one of two things. He's either not getting what he wants or he's getting it from a place he doesn't want to go to. And I think Bregman's a baseball guy, very thoughtful, and I think they even said when they sat down to talk to him, he had more questions. He had 3 pages of questions to ask the Red Sox. You know, he was interviewing them. I want to know what your minor league system is. I want to know where you're headed. I want to know cash spending. I want to know what we're going to look like for the next couple of years. And, you know, Toronto, as we know, they tried to pay everybody. And other people just don't want to go up there. It's uncertain future with Vlad and Bo Bichette and the Olding pitching staff. And then Detroit, is that the ballpark I want to go to? If it's a 1-year deal, you know, is that the place I'm going to have, you know, hit well? Fenway is. He's always hit well at Fenway Park. It's a lot like Minute Maid, short porch and left, so it fits him, it suits him, and just a connection with core. So I just think it took a while for him to kind of, maybe the Red Sox, to kind of pony up, take that extra step to get the player. He's everything this team needs. You know, he's a baseball rat. He's talking baseball. He's sitting down with catchers after games, going over sequencing for the starting pitcher, some of the things that he has seen, to try to help the pitchers, help the catchers. He's exceeded my expectations. I knew he'd come in here as a leader, but it's just a different level.
The Garrett Crochet thing, you know, we were following it very closely a year ago because certainly the Orioles, you know, they were in the market for starting pitching, and Zach Eflin turned out to be a very good one, but there was so much made about the innings thing. Well, it turns out he made 32 starts a year ago. I assume that based on where he got to a year ago, the expectation is he can go to 180 innings if that's what it required, that there are no restrictions at this point on Garrett Crochet.
There are none. No, there are none at all. It was almost like it seemed like baseball was using the Cubs to kind of give him the White Sox rather, to give him a foundation year so someone else could take advantage of it. Yep. You know, they did a good job. You know, they could have shut him down, you know, in July or so, just because you were so concerned about how many, 12 2/3 innings in 2 years, and he was already at 100 in July 1st. But they chose to give him the 30 starts, 3 innings at a time, 4 innings at a time, the rest of the way, and they just really did wherever he was going to go next a favor. So now it's just about, you know, watching. I think game 1, you see a different guy in game 2 here in this series. First start out, he was fighting it. It was a grind, you know, like he just, his location, he couldn't execute when he really needed to put guys away, but he's been fun to watch. Spring training, it was really electric.
Lou, I always like to ask you from afar your thoughts on the Orioles, who didn't do much at all to upgrade this offseason, but one guy that he did bring in, of course, you know well, and Tyler O'Neill, who, to be fair, got off to a great start to the season, had a huge opening day. I am not sure where Tyler O'Neill is between, like, genuine difference maker and everyday middle of the order or glorified platoon bat. Like, I don't know exactly where he is. What did you think of the addition of Tyler O'Neill, particularly after the Orioles lost Santander?
First off, I really enjoyed the guy. You know, I enjoyed being around him, and he can be an impact bat. The thing with Tyler is really the game's played, right? You really got to take care of him. You got to make sure he's on the field. There's an injury history there. He's the type of guy that can hit you 5-6 home runs in a week, and then come out next time and maybe go 1 for 23 with 17 strikeouts, right? It's really hit or miss sometimes, and it was kind of streaky last year. Still put up 30 home runs. He helped this club win, but I think it's really about managing his time. Even when he's hot, you may have to give him that extra day with a day off just to kind of rest that body a little bit. Overall, with the Orioles, honestly, disappointed. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like the team is ready to take off. Yep. You've got all these young prospects. I think Santander was kind of like a glue guy to a lineup, much like Teoscar Hernandez was in Toronto a few years back. I felt like once you made that trade for Corbin Burns, you guys were about to take off and sign him to an extension and then maybe trade some more young guys for veteran pieces and really take the organization to another level. Instead, I felt like it's kind of gone backwards. And, you know, you're just relying on young kids, extremely talented. Sure. However, I just think you need forces. I think you need veterans. And I thought they were going to start spending. They haven't locked up anybody. They haven't signed anybody big. I just expected more.
You and everyone in this city, Lou, every single one of us. And by the way, we're not sure they have the innings in them pitching wise with Grayson Rodriguez sideline too.
Yeah.
So things are great. 20 seconds thoughts on all of the hullabaloos about the Yankees and their new bats. Is there really anything that's worth discussion when it comes to this?
No. First off, when you think about it, the end of the bat really doesn't need a barrel, because if you hit it there, it's not any good. So every team could use them. Major League Baseball has okayed them. If you're bitching about it, then why don't you grab one and see if you can hit 4 home runs in 2 games like Judge? Because I don't think he can.
Who apparently isn't even using it. Like, he's not even using that bat. Yeah,
that's the thing, and he's not, right? So it is what it is. I understand it, but these bats, they got to get okayed by Major League Baseball before they're in a game.
Right.
Hey, whatever. I mean, like I said, grab one yourself and go hit and see how it goes.
By the way, that is the fascinating part, Lou. Is like, is it genius? Like, does every team need to start adapting it, or is it just sort of a wonky experiment that inevitably will go away as well?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like any other bat. Like I used the C271. Some guys use the C243 because it was a bigger barrel. I like the smaller barrel. Like whatever. It's to your preference. I mean, there's guys in the league, not just the Yankees, that are using these bats. The Red Sox, from what I hear, had them in camp, and a few guys tried them. It's different. I don't know. Maybe at some point they like the feel of it and they go back to it. But a bat's a bat, man. So it's not corked, it's not juiced. It is what it is. They just abused the Brewers' pitching staff.
No doubt about it. Lou Merloni, I hate saying it because in my heart of hearts, I'm supposed to hate you, but I love you, man. And I always appreciate how much time you take for us. You're the best. Enjoy your time in Baltimore. I'll try to come say hello at some point. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate it, man. Hopefully I see you the next few days.
Absolutely. Lou Merloni from Nesson with us here on GCR, Red Sox TV analyst and former infielder. Appreciate him taking the time for us, as always. All right, when we come back in, we will maybe do you want to do 3 up, 3 down now? Yeah. I guess we can do 3 up and 3 down now. Yeah, we might as well. And then we'll talk to Mike Bordick. That's on the way as we continue along on Monday, opening day edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Glenn Clark and I sit down for a Q&A with Orioles owner David Rubenstein, discussing what he learned from his first year as owner, his goals both on and off the field, and his involvement in baseball decisions. Also inside, Brooks DuBose profiles new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, and we meet college lacrosse players from around the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Monday edition of the program. So, news today, Colton Cowser headed to the injured list. You said it's thumb fracture. That's what they called it?
Correct. A left thumb fracture.
Left thumb fracture. So that sounds like more than 10 days. Not that that's, I don't think it's 3 months either, but it sounds like probably a little bit more than 10 days. Dylan Carlson gets called up in the meantime. That probably means, I guess the first question is, do they experiment again with Heston Kjerstad in left field at all? And I don't know. He wasn't even in the lineup yesterday against a righty. I don't know. I don't know if they're willing to try that one more time. I also don't know how serious this Mountcastle stuff is that Bob Nightingale reported over the weekend. Damn, we might run out of time for 3 Up and 3 Down here. You son of a bitch. We'll do it after we talk to Bordick. It's fine. I don't know how significant the Cowser thing will be, but it might prevent them from the really awkward decision that a couple of us thought they might have to make if Gunnar Henderson is ready quickly, which is it Kjerstad that goes back down, which would just light this city on fire. The report from Bob Nightingale of USA Today was that the Orioles are looking to trade Ryan Mountcastle because they want to clear room for Kobe Mayo. And when you hear that, you're like, oh, yeah, that makes some sense. But then when you think through it more, you say to yourself, right, if that was what you were looking to do, why in the F didn't you do it in the offseason? If you were committed to the idea that Kobe Mayo needs to be here, why didn't you say, we gotta get this done? What changed? Because you're not getting something of significance for Ryan Mountcastle. Like, that ain't happening. This isn't a, hey, we're going to put Ryan Mountcastle out there, and now when teams find that out, boy, we're going to be rolling in it. You're trading him for the sake of trading him if that's what you're doing. Ryan Mountcastle is a free agent after next year. So any team that acquires him knows they'd have to pay him. First of all, you got to pay him his arbitration figure next year, and you'd either have to sign him or you'd even only be getting 1 year, 1.5, whatever it would be, 1 3/4 of Ryan Mountcastle. And every organization believes they have a Ryan Mountcastle. It's like what we talked about when Trey Mancini was the guy that was available. It was nice to say, hey, maybe it's time to trade Trey Mancini. The problem was you weren't getting anything for him. Because a handful of guys are Jim Thome or Jeff Bagwell or Frank Thomas or I guess Paul Goldschmidt at the start of his career. Albert Pujols would certainly fit in this category. As first basemen go, there are a handful of guys that are game changers. And outside of that handful of guys, you've got that guy. Someone in your organization is the next Ryan Mountcastle. We keep talking about how the Mariners don't have enough offense. If they acquired Ryan Mountcastle, you know what we'd say about the Mariners? They don't have enough offense. He's not changing that. I love Ryan Mountcastle. But there's a reason why you don't want to be committed to Ryan Mountcastle long term. Yes, is it in part because Kobe Mayo, you think, is going to be your first baseman of the future? Sure. But it's also in part because you in your heart of hearts don't think it's really worth spending a boatload of money on Ryan Mountcastle. Now, how do you think other teams feel about the idea of trading for him? So it's kind of crazy to me that this is the conversation that we're having. If it was just about clearing the spot for Kobe Mayo, do it in the offseason. Why present this problem? Now Ryan Mountcastle's hearing about it. Get it done. Clear the spot. Say Kobe Mayo's the guy. Maybe see if Heston Kjerstad can play some first base. I don't know that they're going to let Heston Kjerstad play left field again. It did not go well. I certainly don't have a ton of trust in the idea of Heston Kjerstad playing left field. I would like him to be in the lineup, though, so...
You're saying any outfield position with a Kjerstad?
No, he can play right field.
So
like
throw
that's
O'Neal
what
over there?
We kind of thought... You think that... Oh, you're suggesting O'Neal plays left field. I don't know at all. I have no idea what the... I don't think of much of Tyler O'Neill, the defensive outfielder, but...
He's got a strong arm.
Yes, but we're seeing the Blue Jays, right, experiment with Santander in left field.
Which he played a little bit, yeah. He didn't play that Orioles left field, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it helps when you have a Cedric Mullins in center field to cover a bit more ground. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. That's all I can keep saying is maybe. Maybe. We'll see. In the meantime, Dylan Carlson's here, and so Dylan Carlson's here. That's the extent that I have to say.
Apparently he started 70 games in left field for Boston last year.
Okay. Well,
of course, that's a different looking left field.
It is. Yes. It is. There's basically a giant wall.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's a possibility. Sure.
Looks like it was a pretty even split. He played 13 games in center field in St. Louis in the final season.
Do you have the Baseball Savant?
I don't have Baseball Savant up. I was looking at Baseball Reference to see the games.
I mean, I don't even. I don't. It's hard for me to judge a defensive outfielder.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. But yeah, I guess that is certainly a possibility.
Fielding.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like his arm strength. I'm trying to make. Yeah, this is last year's. His outs above average though, 18th percentile, -4 outs above average, on the range there, and then arm value was. I guess it didn't register.
Sure.
I don't know. Arm strength though was 82nd percentile. They like his arm strength.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know.
It's an option.
More or less Santander. It feels like
it is an option. I don't think they're doing the thing with Heston Kjerstad again in left field. I'd be very surprised by that. Although, I don't know. Maybe they say the same thing about Heston Kjerstad. And Dylan Carlson will play. Like this is the one thing we know. He'll play. He will hit, and I guess maybe today because the lefty's on the mound, he's gonna probably will he be in the lineup? I guess he'll be in the lineup today because Newcomb's on the mound.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I mean,
that's the reason they went out and got
just going to play Kjerstad no matter what. Like,
well, with the flip side of being like, are they going to sit Mullins? Do you play both Laureano and Carlson against a lefty today?
You can't play both of them.
You would. That's the first thing that I thought is you can't play both of those guys. But
this is what they do.
You know?
Yeah.
This is why they got these guys. I guess we should expect them both to be in the lineup today.
What did Carlson do last year?
Sure.
Did we go over this already? I don't know.
I don't think last
he's
year.
Not like,
I don't think he hit anyone last year, but he's like a 285 hitter against lefties for his career. But I don't think he hit anybody last year. I think last year was kind of a wash for Dylan Carlson. St. Louis last year hit.
Oh, lovely St. Louis.
212 against lefties.
I don't think he's in the. I'd rather see Kjerstad.
They got him.
So is Laureano starting in left? Is that?
I assume
Laureano's a center fielder.
In this scenario, if Mullins sits versus the lefty, I would assume that it would be Laureano in center and Carlson in left.
Would you be mad if it was they start Mullins and then Laureano?
I wouldn't be mad if they started Mullins if they just said, "Hey, that's too much to have both." But again, these were the moves they made. They got these guys to hit. Like this is the Austin Slater thing.
Yeah, but Austin Slater...
They got him for this reason.
I feel like was better at...
Not last year he wasn't.
No, but...
In his career he was.
But Carlson...
But when they got him last year, he was not having a good season hitting against lefties.
I'm trying to pull up his...
Also, Albert Suarez went on the IL over the weekend, and that's why Matt Bowman was available to them yesterday. So there's that. And again, why would we be concerned? They don't have an innings problem at all. They're killing it innings-wise. Plus, you can count on Cade Povich today to definitely work deep into the game.
Trippy said he's going to have 6 strikeouts today.
Oh? That's what Trippy... Is that what we're going with now?
I trust him.
That's good enough for you?
He said it with a lot of conviction.
Okay. And Trippy's definitely lost no bets. None at all. Love you. Love you, pal. You're my guy. You know that. Love you, buddy. I hope the Orioles could really use a strong. This is the problem. All of a sudden, after the weekend that they had, and nobody else working a sixth inning, only Dean Kramer even getting into the sixth inning. They desperately need innings. Desperate already. They already have an innings problem, and they're short their long man. How much more does Kyle Gibson need? How much more time before he can be ready to come in? God, it's very interesting that we're in a place where they save us Kyle Gibson. Eek. Eek. All right, home opener coming up today. I know this man will be making the rounds. Of course, Orioles Hall of Famer, all-around good guy, 105.7 The Fan. He is our friend Mike Bordick, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Bordy, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Did we lose Bordy? Well, I said it enthusiastically. Did do that. Is he at Pickles? Is that part of the problem? No? Okay. All right. Well, I'm sure he is at some point. I don't know if he was already there and maybe there was a noise concern, a noise problem. Our buddy Mike Bordick. We'll try to reconnect with him this morning. Happy opening day. Good morning, Mike Bordick. How are you, my friends? Bordy, you there?
Oh, shoot.
You there? Mike, you got me?
Hello.
Hey, we hear you. Do you hear us?
There you are.
Hey, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Happy opening day.
All right. Man, the technical issues.
Hey,
Here we go. I'm good.
I appreciate. I know you're making your way downtown, right?
I am looking for parking as we speak.
No, well, it could be a little while. That could be the problem.
I know.
Mike, let's cover a couple of things. First of all, let me start on the positive side. After one weekend, do we declare Adley Rutschman officially being back, or is it still too small of a sample size?
To say he looks good. He had a great spring. Of course, he got off to his traditional opening day start, which is so impressive to me. He's carrying himself better, and you can tell, I think, offensively, he's just mentally in a better place. Now, don't know how he got there. I'm sure it was a lot of hard work this offseason, but you can just see the confidence kind of exuding from his body. Now, every player, I don't care how good you are, gets tested, though, right, through the mental rigors of and he'll get banged up again, and we'll just see, can he come out of it and make an adjustment a little bit quicker this time?
Obviously, everybody's going to complain about lineups eternally. Where you at when, like, a guy gets off to his hottest start as Jordan Westberg got off to over the first 3 games? Are you the type that screams about, no, you can't, you can't just sit him. Like, you got to keep him in until the bat wears off, or do you trust the decisions that Brandon Hyde makes, even though the Orioles only scored 1 run yesterday?
Well, I heard he was sick. So that's what I heard. I don't know.
That might be the case.
Yeah, I'm not
If that
sure.
was and I just missed it, then I'm going to feel like a jerk.
Yeah, because
I
I don't know if Jordan Westberg's, okay, even if he's at 75%, I think that guy wants to play more than anybody, and I think he would be he would love to play 162. Yeah, so I was scratching my head too, but I heard he was a little under the weather. So I don't know if the lineups are out yet. That's going to be interesting to see if he's in the lineup, because he is a force in this Oriole lineup for sure.
There's no doubt about that. Mike, I think the biggest concern after one weekend, and again, we all know that one weekend is not a sample size, but there was plenty of reason to be concerned about the Orioles pitching before the season began. And when only Zach Eflin is able to give you 6 innings, and now you lose Albert Suarez on top of it, I think that there is real reason to have the conversation already about whether or not the Orioles are going to have an innings problem until at least Grayson Rodriguez were to come back. How concerned are you about the innings situation and, considering what they didn't do starting pitching-wise versus what they did this offseason?
Well, I guess as the offseason went through and spring training went and they ended up getting Gibson as well, I just think, honestly, there's a shortage of pitching. Injuries are just everywhere. Everybody in the league is decimated by injuries, and they're trying to find a way to make it through. So I think initially, looking at what the Orioles did, I said, well, I'm all right with that. These guys have proven themselves, but they're not huge innings eaters, except Morton last 4 or 5 years has been one of the best at that in the game. So at least they're getting 160 maybe. That's the hope. So I'm not worried about numbers. Like you said, I'm worried about innings, and keeping this rotation healthy is going to be the biggest test, I think, of the whole year. I don't think we have to worry about their offense. I think they have depth at position players in the minor league.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a shortage of pitching, and how they're going to overcome this is just going to be, I don't know, what the story of Major League Baseball is going to be about this season, I think, because Suarez down, it's all a mystery about Rodriguez, all the guys with Tommy John that are coming back. They may come back. We don't know how they're going to come back. But also, Sagano left the game early with like a hand cramp or something like that. So, just the age of these guys, and that's it. Are we going to be able to find innings eaters so that our bullpen just doesn't get devastated? If one or two of those guys go down, holy cow, that's what I'm worried about.
I recognize that he wasn't ramped up, that he didn't really pitch a lot during the spring, Charlie Morton, but I wonder if part of the story has to be that, like, moving forward, if Charlie Morton's getting his butt kicked, he still has to. You almost have to tell him, dude, you got to eat it for a little. Like you're here in part because you've got to be this guy that eats innings. So even if you're getting your butt kicked, you're gonna have to figure out a way to give us 5, even if that means you give up 8 to 10 runs in the process.
No doubt about it. So many guys are gonna have to bite the bullet and push their egos aside and understand that, okay, maybe a 5, 5.5 might be enough. I'm talking about earned run average, because this team's got to depend on their offense clicking. And if it doesn't, it's going to be a big struggle. But I see this offense being as good as anybody in the game. So
right.
I think it's going to carry them, and then just hope that the pitching can hold up.
He is Mike Bordick. He is with us here on GCR. Bordy, over the weekend, Bob Nightingale of USA Today reports that the Orioles are trying to trade Ryan Mountcastle to clear a spot for Coby Mayo, which, when you hear it, you certainly can make that make sense, but it seems very odd that it's now and maybe not the offseason that you were looking to do that. And Ryan Mountcastle happened to have a tough opening weekend in Toronto, a place where he's, normally the prime minister, and so you can't help but wonder if these rumors are impacting him in some way. What do you make of the report that the Orioles are looking to do this? Does it make sense to you? And what do you make of the timing of this?
Yeah, it's kind of odd that it came out. Now, I've thought all along Mountcastle's going to get traded, but I thought this year especially they would wait till the All-Star break. Mountcastle's a great defender. He's got incredible power. I think he'll display that today and through this Red Sox series here with the shortened wall. Mentally, I think it's going to help him. Now, I don't know. It's still so early with a lot of offensive players, but I think when it comes down to it, he's going to put up great numbers, and I think his value will be at its peak by the All-Star break, at the trade deadline. So I just hope they're patient with this and don't force Mayo into the big leagues because he's crying about being in AAA. I mean, let's go. He didn't have a good spring training. He wasn't good in the big leagues. Yeah, he's done great in the minor leagues, but you got to prove yourself. You can't push a bona fide major league guy to the side because a young guy is arguing about getting a spot. That makes no sense to me.
See, boy, I didn't really have any issue with what Mayo said, because I get what he was saying. If he had said, like, hey, I'm not going to go down there and try, well, that's one thing. I didn't have a problem because, like, I do think that what he said is correct. No, and this is for dummies like me that just yak into a microphone and have no idea what we're talking about half the time. But, like, I know, like, if he goes down there and mashes, what we're going to say is, well, that's what he's supposed to be doing, right? Like, he better be mashing down there.
Oh, no, it's not easy. Yeah,
I know. And if he goes down there and
Absolutely.
struggles, we're absolutely going to say, what's wrong with Coby Mayo? So I got what he was saying. If he had said, like, no, this organization is bull S or something like that, then yeah, I could get being upset about that. But what he said, I got it. Like he is right. That's what all of us are going to do because we're kind of mouth breathers that way.
Well, hey, I agree. Hey, okay, if a guy wants to say what's on the top of his mind, and Sure, his numbers are incredible in AAA.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Where are you going to put him on this team? And especially a guy that hasn't had any big league numbers. So that's my point. What would be better?
Yeah.
Because listen, all these players, they don't think about being in the big leagues with the Orioles. Think about being in the big leagues, period. So how you handle yourself, things that you do and say, are all going to be scrutinized. So if he goes down to AAA again and puts up numbers, well, his trade value is skyrocketing too. So other teams see that, and of course, I just feel like Mike Elias. This is these opportunities for him to take a chance on a young guy on a potential World Series team again, and think about how young the infield would potentially be. That's risky. That's risky.
So I wonder if the other part of this conversation, and we know that Colton Cowser is now going to be on the IL for a little bit with the thumb fracture, is even before Mayo trying to find at bats for Heston Kjerstad, who wasn't in the lineup yesterday against a righty. I don't think they're going to try the experiment with Kjerstad in left field again while Colton Cowser is sidelined, but maybe is it Tyler O'Neill plays some more in left field so you can get Heston Kjerstad? It feels like at some point that guy's got to be in the lineup more frequently than he is.
Listen, I would let him play until he fails.
Yeah.
Until he screws up defensively, because that's the knock. This guy can slug, man. He is a big-time hitter. He has really good at bats. I love when he steps into the box. I just feel like he can hit a home run everywhere. And I think this is the opportunity that players hope for. And, not wish.
Right.
Of course,
right.
He didn't want Colton Cowser getting hurt. It's his buddy. But here's a chance for him to play now. So, give him more opportunities to show that maybe he doesn't deserve to be a defender in the big leagues. But, man, you got to get that bat in there, and this is that kind of opportunity.
Oh, I wondered if maybe there should have been a world where he should have been taking some time at first base, right? Like if you're interested in trading Ryan Mountcastle, does Heston Kjerstad deserve a chance to show that he could play that position if you're worried about him as a defensive outfielder?
Well, I think there are a lot of guys you could potentially take a look at.
Yeah.
I know Basayo is over there.
Sure.
So there are a lot of,
yeah.
Names we can think about going in there. But you think about other outfielders in the minor leagues. Now, Carlson's going to get an opportunity, and there are some other young outfielders that we've talked about that may get chances. Is this Enrique Bradfield's opportunity to show how he can move around in the outfield and add another dimension of speed that no teams know how to handle. So, I think there are different ways to look at this and potential opportunities for other young players. It should make, I think, everybody in the organization hungry for these chances if guys go down, because that's really what it's all about.
Bordy, I have to ask you about the torpedo bat phenomenon. Everybody's freaking out about what the Yankees are doing, although Aaron Judge isn't even using one of these bats. Apparently, Adley Rutschman is using like a modified version of a torpedo bat to start the season. I just saw that floating around this morning. What do you make of it? Is this a new revolution, or is this just guys tinkering with something, and we're not going to all suddenly start using torpedo bats in the coming weeks and months?
Well, I don't know, man. I guess I wish I had a torpedo bat to at least try.
Yeah, right? Find out, yeah.
Makes sense, right? Yeah. So this is funny how bats have kind of evolved along with the game. When I was playing, the best bats were actually the heavier bats because it was just a denser, harder wood. And if you found if you could actually swing a heavier bat, then you might look for where the knots were or how the grains were set up to find the hardest part. And I know I personally, if I found a knot in the sweet spot, I'd bone it out on the sink and aim for that. That would be, an ideal bat for me. I just felt like in my mind that maybe a knot was harder and it might jump off a little harder. But, that kind of thinking for hitters has been in the game forever. And now they've started kind of tinkering with the knob size to get weight down there so the hands will fire through a little bit quicker. And I think with all the analytics and everything, they've found out where guys make, I guess, more general contact.
Right.
Now, every hitter's goal is to try to get it on the sweet spot. If you can't get it on the sweet spot, you're probably not going to be in the big leagues hitting. So they're probably making the torpedo in their sweet spot, and it might be off or on, a half inch or something. I'm sure it's down to millimeters. So, they're just trying to make good contact, get the best result. If you ask me personally, go ahead. I mean, as long as they're in the specifications, I guess, of Major League Baseball with the bat, but I still go back to why not the baseball? Why can't we readjust the baseball back to where it was back in the day? I mean, 450 home runs are commonplace nowadays.
There is no doubt. There is no doubt about that. All right, Mike Bordick, what are we plugging for you? I know the podcast. I know League of Dreams. Give me the whole rundown, my friend.
Oh, my gosh. This is going to be great. I love this. So, yeah, the BMore Baseball Podcast is underway, and we've had some super guests. We've had a run of 3 managers, Torey Lavello, we had Tony La Russa, and Buck Martinez, and all with great insight, obviously, in the game of baseball today, their experiences, and they have really unique perspective on the Orioles. So those are some great interviews. We got a former Oriole coach coming up that's still in search of a World Series. He's with another team right now, so we'll visit with him. So that's a lot of fun. And make sure you check that out on the Be More Ball Pod for YouTube, and please subscribe. That social media, that's what it's all about. League of Dreams is still out there doing great things and building an awesome relationship with our local community colleges. It's unbelievable what we got going on right now. You got to check us out on leagueofdreams.org. I'm going to be starting a podcast within the League of Dreams too, man. I'm so
cool.
excited about that. Yeah, I'm giving some lessons over at the Baseball Warehouse and doing some clinics and some public speaking. So, yeah, check me out. I love it. I love being out there helping the kids and talking to families about kids and youth sports and things like that. So thanks for the opportunity to give a little plug.
As always. I'm seeing you in a couple minutes over at Pickles.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm still looking for a spot. I thought I saw one. I just don't know how to get to it.
Good luck. Good luck. We'll see you shortly, buddy. Always appreciate you. Thanks, Bordy.
Thank you.
The great Mike Bordick with us here on GCR. Yeah, I just saw that floating around. I guess Matt Weirich of the Sun has a piece up about how Adley Rutschman's using a modified torpedo bat as well this season. So it ain't just the Yankees. All of you that think that Yankees are cheating or whatever, it's a thing. It's happening. Apparently, Gary Sanchez had one shipped to him as well that he says he's not committed to, but is going to experiment with in the cages.
I gotta figure out how I get one.
You think that's gonna be the difference? You think this is gonna get you back to
the
bigs?
I do.
You think that's gonna be everything?
Just waiting for see a clip of me.
Hit the thing. We got to do it.
Yeah,
glad we're
can't wait to hit
prepared.
it.
Nothing better than preparation. That's what.
Well, it's just far down.
Three up.
And 3 down.
Worst open we've ever done.
How's that the worst open? There's no possible way that's the worst open.
You know how this works? 3 up and 3 down. I just realized that we should. Do we still have Costas gift cards that we should be giving? You know what? Let's deal with that off the air.
Okay.
We'll talk about it off the air. Maybe next week we'll bring back giveaways for 3 up and 3 down.
Sounds like a good idea.
As we'll want yours. You know how it works? 3 Orioles who were up for the week, 3 Orioles who were down for the week. It's really not. We don't have those rules that we have during Ravens season. Doesn't have to be one pitcher, 1 hitter. You can pick whoever you want. 3 that were up, 3 that were down. Do we start negatively or do we start positively? We build down. We tear down to build back up, don't we? So we start negatively.
That makes sense, but I feel like there's been times
that's the way we're supposed to do it anyway.
Order,
3 down for the week. Number 3 for me is Ryan Mountcastle, who obviously had a brutal start offensively, and then you add in this. Not that these were easy picks to make at first base, but this is when we talk about the value that Ryan Mountcastle brings to a team. It's that he's become a high-level defensive first baseman, and he did not look like that this weekend. I'm not putting it on him. The Mateo throw yesterday was bad, but it was there. The ball was there, and Ryan Mountcastle is someone that we expect to make that play, and he didn't. And yes, this is all under the microscope of this happened in Toronto, where we're used to Ryan Mountcastle murdering the Blue Jays. So rough weekend offensively, rough weekend defensively. Wonder about those rumors, how they might be impacting him. Ryan Mountcastle number 3 for me on my 3 down.
Yeah, he landed at number 3 on my list as well. Just, I mean, yeah, the same reasons you laid out. Like, it felt like this. Everyone was kind of like, this seems like a good. Obviously, just 4 games. He didn't even play all 4 games.
Yep.
So still a small sample size. But yeah, Toronto's a place that he has had a lot of success in, and we want to see him be a big piece of the lineup, and he was not that over the weekend. It was a pretty disappointing weekend for Ryan Mountcastle. So.
Number 2, Dean Kramer. And part of that is just because I have more expectations at the moment for not that I have any reason to, but I have more than I have for Sagano, so Sagano is saved. And frankly, Sagano did only give up. He wasn't good, but he only gave up the 2 runs.
Right.
Kramer was bad. I give him some credit for the fact that he efforted a couple more outs to get him into the 6th inning to help a little bit innings-wise, but he was bad. He only went 5 1/3. Dean Kramer is a 5th starting pitcher. Dean Kramer is not a guy whose spot in the rotation needs to be protected. He's been around for a while, and because we know there's going to be a stretch of he's going to make 6 or 7 starts this year where he's going to be brilliant. And we're going to convince ourselves again that, like, this is why he could be a starter for you in the playoffs. But that's not what Dean Kramer is. There's way too much of a sample size for us to keep hoping that he's going to be something other than what he is. He is a number 5 starter. And it's not his fault that the Orioles didn't bother upgrading to the point where he didn't have to be out there. But nothing about it is surprising, and it's just sort of the same old. And again, a modicum of credit for the fact that he got 2 more outs than we thought he was going to get, but Dean Kramer's number 2.
Yeah, Dean did not make my list. And maybe this, and we'll see how the season goes, but I think the expectations for the pitching staff are not high. So the fact that he got through 5 innings, which was better than half the starters this weekend did, and got through 5 1/3, even though it wasn't ugly, and obviously the
Sagano
offense
got hurt. He was better than Kramer was.
Well, I mean, okay.
He put a ton of guys on base, though. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Sagano wasn't great. He only got through 4 innings.
Because he got hurt.
I mean,
the
guy's not healthy. That's also on him.
Not on him that he. What are you talking about? It's
Dean
on
Kramer's
him.
not on my list, and the pitching is going to be awful this year, and I'm fully prepared for that. So, Dean Kramer
doesn't mean
by
he
all
gaslighted.
means, by all means,
Dean Kramer stunk, and we have to be able to say that he stunk.
He won 5 innings.
That's not good.
Look across the league.
When you're giving up 5 earned runs in 5 innings, it's not
across
good.
all of baseball.
I understand
no one's
that,
going 5 innings.
but you don't get to pretend that it's good. It's okay to say he stunk, but I think other guys stunk more.
Colton Cowser stunk. He was bad this weekend.
He was bad this weekend.
He was on my list. He was number 2.
I don't disagree with that.
He was number 2. He hit the home run, which was great, but he was bad in the leadoff spot. He struck out a bunch. Colton Cowser on my list.
I don't disagree that Colton Cowser didn't have
already
a good
pressing
weekend.
enough that he feels like he has to dive headfirst into first base.
That, by the way, unquestionably unacceptable. How many times are we going to have this conversation?
And now he's out for a month.
No one has ever been helped by sliding into first base.
Even Mullins did it weird too.
What is going
on?
on?
Safer, I guess, but
run as hard as you possibly can.
You ready for the what they're doing in college baseball? You're gonna have the extra first base in foul territory.
Well, I've had that opinion before. I do
be pissed about that.
Let him be pissed. That should exist, but you still shouldn't be. Why do we slide at other bases, Griffin?
Because you can't overrun them.
Thank you. I'm not a baseball player. We slide at other bases because you can't overrun them. Or because at home, you're trying to elude a tag. Right? You're trying to elude a tag. And you might be able to elude a tag if you can dive wildly to this side and then stretch your hand back. There is zero reason to ever slide into first base. I mean, going to first base, I guess, obviously, if you're
diving back,
right,
whatever
that's
it is.
Different conversation. Yeah. You are allowed to run into right field. Is it a bizarre rule? Yes. We've never really dealt with it. We've just accepted that it's part of the game and never really thought about how effing insane it is that at one base, you're allowed to run forever. But the others better not. Better not. And it's one thing to say, well, hey, but that's because it's foul territory over there. It's also foul territory at third base. It makes no sense. But it's the rule, and it's been the rule forever. Run as hard as you effing can. And he might have beaten it out if he did. I'm fine with it being Colton Cowser. I'm just not fine with gaslighting Dean Kramer into him being good. He wasn't good.
Well, I'm not saying he was good, but I don't think he was one of the 3 worst guys.
I don't know. It was really bad.
In terms of pitching.
It was really bad.
Daniel Perez was worse to me.
I mean, he gave up a home run yesterday.
He wasn't good in the other outing either.
He wasn't good, but that when the game was nothing mattered in that game. And that was Thursday, wasn't it?
Was that Thursday?
Yeah, I don't think
it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it counts because we do the whole week.
Saturday? Or
was
no, it was Friday? I
maybe
don't know.
it was Friday. Whatever. Who cares?
Maybe we can't pitch Perez in back-to-back.
No, I think it was Thursday and Sunday or Friday and Sunday, whatever it was. Anyway, moral of the story being
he pitched in both the losses.
Charlie Morton is number 1 because Charlie Morton's number 1. I mean, my God.
He was not good.
It was abominable. I mean, it was I don't know if this guy can still do it. Afterwards, it seemed like he was trying to make
3 strikeouts.
Great. Afterwards, it seemed like he was acting like he was confused by what happened, which made me. Is he trying to suggest that his pitches were getting tipped? Was that what he was trying to suggest after the game by saying he was confused? I don't know, man. That was awful. I mean, it was just freaking awful. So there you go. Those are our downs. Our ups for the week. Number 3 for me, Adley Rutschman. Obviously, not only did he look good at the plate, but, of course, he had the 2 strike him out, throw him out double plays on Friday. The one at third base, I don't know if that was actually an out or not, but whatever, it counts.
Definitely counts.
The one at second was definitely a great throw and got him out. So a lot of good from Adley Rutschman. He was number 3.
Yeah, Adley was my number 3 as well. Felt like I came very close with Tyler O'Neill and Cedric Mullins as well. I thought they had pretty good. I mean, maybe it was mostly just because of opening day.
A lot of opening day influence
on
that.
And that was a lot of fun. But yeah, Adley.
Yes, it's weird that this is why we do 2 separate lists. Neither of my men of the match made my 3-up list for the week, despite the fact those are the only 2 games they won. Number 2 for me is Jordan Westberg, who was great. I mean, he was great. I do not know. Bordick's telling me that he was sick yesterday. I did not see that going around at all.
Apparently, I think Hyde said after the game
that
he was
available in an emergency. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. On the fantasy apps, he's listed as day-to-day, so maybe there is something. I don't know.
And apparently yesterday Hyde said that he would be available today. I haven't seen yet if the lineup's out. I'll check again in a second. But look, Jordan Westberg was awesome for the first 3 games. He was killing it. And so, yeah, we all had the exact same reaction when the lineup came out yesterday, which is, dude, what are you doing? But if he was sick, he was sick. I feel like maybe you let that be known so we're not asking these questions, but whatever. Number 2, Jordan Westberg.
Yeah, he's on my list, but I got him 1 notch higher. I put Zach Eflin as my number 2.
It's fine. But Zach Eflin's I'm about to use the F word. Zach Eflin is an effing hero.
Well, and this is going to have to – we'll see how the season goes, how we measure pitching, if the barometer changes for how we measure pitching and starting pitching this season. So Eflin might, just be slotted in there every time he just even touches 6 innings. But, yeah, Eflin was obviously great.
It's not just that he gave them 6 innings. It's that he was phenomenal for 6 innings.
Well, yeah.
It's one thing if a guy just
runs, but
– great. But please. You know what that's called?
Oh, he wasn't perfect.
A 3 ERA.
It wasn't perfect.
You know what happens if Zach Eflin pitches to a 3 ERA all season?
He'll probably be in the Cy Young.
Really? Number 1 with a bullet, Zach Eflin.
Number 1 with a bullet, Jordan Westberg.
A .5 whip.
Very good.
A .5 whip for the season. What would we call that? Maybe MVP of the league.
It could be, yeah.
Jordan Westberg had a great weekend. I'm not trying to argue with that, but Zach Eflin was number 1. We'll get it up, GlennClarkRadio.com momentarily. 3 up and 3 down, brought to you by County Sports Zone, countysports.zone, everything you need to know about high school sports. When we come back in, talk more about Kevin Willard and the Maryland situation. Dan Bonner was on the call Thursday night as they lost to Florida. He'll join us next, Glenn Clark Radio.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Baltimore's Classic 5 golf courses make golf fun and affordable. All 5 local courses, Pine Ridge, Mount Pleasant, Forest Park, Carroll Park, and Clifton Park, are challenging and fun for players of all skill levels. Book your tee time today at classic5golf.com.
March is a slam dunk at Live Casino. Catch all the basketball action and more at Sports and Social. Enter our $80,000 Dolce & Gabbana giveaway on March 28th. And catch the Baltimore baseball jersey giveaway March 31st. Take your shot at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Glenn Clark and I sit down for a Q&A with Orioles owner David Rubenstein, discussing what he learned from his first year as owner, his goals both on and off the field, and his involvement in baseball decisions. Also inside, Brooks DeBose profiles new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, and we meet college lacrosse players from around the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCRs, continue along on a Monday edition of the program, opening day. Obviously, we're still discussing all the fallout from Kevin Willard's decision to depart the University of Maryland in favor of Villanova. And other news in the college sports world locally today, Chet Gladchuk, Naval Academy Athletics Director, has decided to retire. Chet Gladchuk has been in Annapolis for 24 years. Chet Gladchuk retiring. This comes, of course, on the heels of Ed DeChellis's retirement as basketball coach. But Chet Gladchuk announced today that he is retiring as well from the Naval Academy, so they will be in the market for a new AD. Joining us now here on GCR, enjoyed hearing his voice on Thursday night. Didn't enjoy the second half, but enjoyed hearing his voice on the game, and, of course, again on Saturday in Florida's stirring comeback to reach the Final Four. Analyst for CBS and Turner and a longtime friend of ours, Mr. Dan Bonner, is back with us now here on GCR. Dan, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Well, Glenn, happy to do it. I'm sorry I didn't enjoy the second half, but that's the way this tournament goes.
That's the way it goes. There's no doubt about that. Let me ask you it this way, Dan, because I feel like there are people that are going to go this route. My gut tells me if Kevin Willard had signed a 5-year extension 3 weeks ago and there were no rumblings about his departure, it wouldn't have mattered. That this Florida team is just that good, and for as good as Maryland's starting 5 was, the fact that it was only 5 and they had no help available off the bench, the result would have been the same. I don't think that we blame the distraction for the result on Thursday night, but being there, seeing it in the days leading up, do you think that it had any impact on the ultimate result of what happened in the Sweet 16?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. Maryland ran into a team that was a very, very bad matchup for them. And so, you know, distractions aside, number one, Florida's very good. Florida could easily win the national championship. Number two, it was an extremely bad matchup. And when you get those bad matchups, it doesn't matter whether it's a 116 game or whatever it is, it's hard. But there was absolutely nothing. And I was around the Maryland players, all the talk about distractions. And I really mean this, every single bit, 100% was in the media. The players, I mean, shoot, how many of the players are thinking about leaving? I mean, that's the way of the world in college basketball now. So, no, I don't think it was that they had one single thing to do with it, the result would have been exactly the same.
That said, Dan, what do you make of how this was handled by Kevin Willard? Because, look, to your point, players come and go, coaches come and go. Nobody at Maryland, as I said earlier today, nobody at Maryland was mad about how Kevin Willard left Seton Hall, right? Like, there was no, this is wrong. There was no hand-wringing, and undoubtedly they're going to end up poaching another school's head coach to be theirs in the coming weeks. But what do you make of how it was handled, how publicly he addressed some of the things going on in the athletic department, when, knowing more of what we know now, it was almost certain that he was always headed to Villanova when this was all said and done?
Well, let's accept the fact that maybe it was almost certain that he was headed to Villanova when it was all said and done. My personal viewpoint, reading some of the articles now that he's gone, is that he did Maryland a huge favor by exposing the kind of difficulties that the basketball coach has at Maryland. I think that Maryland will do for their new coach what they wouldn't do for Kevin Willard. Every basketball coach in this country has to fight like crazy against the football program at that school for the resources that basketball coach needs to be effective. And by resources, I'm just not talking about a new practice facility or that. I'm talking about the money that you're going to have to pay the players to get the kind of team that can compete with schools in the SEC. So over the long haul, it may have been that Kevin Willard, by taking advantage of the extremely public stage that he had being in the NCAA tournament, to expose the kind of difficulties that the basketball coach at Maryland has. Mark Turgeon had the same problem, and the folks at Maryland were only too happy to get rid of him despite his success. But I think that now at Maryland, they will have to seriously consider doing for the next basketball coach what they wouldn't do for Mark Turgeon and Kevin Willard.
Dan, I follow this up to say, do you believe that's been the problem? Like that it's been a commitment issue? Because we're now talking about over 2 decades since Maryland's even been to an Elite Eight, right? Like, it was the championship team that was the last team that even reached the Elite Eight. Do you believe that's the biggest issue, is that it's been the commitment from the athletic department, from the university itself? I've kind of started to wonder if it's just really not that great of a job to begin with, and that really it's just that 2 particularly Hall of Fame coaches made it seem like it was a better job than it really was.
Well, now, that's a point, Glenn, that I think you could argue about all day. I personally think that I'm more in that camp than I am in the camp that this is a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Let's face it, in college, every place in college athletics, it's not just college basketball, in college athletics, the presidents of these universities have, for the last 40 years, been chasing every penny they can get and trying very hard to keep it all, that they can possibly milk out of these athletic programs. And they all realize that the cash cow right at the moment is football. And so you could make the argument that every problem that we have associated with college athletics today comes from the relentless, obsessive, unending pursuit of every last penny that the presidents can get from college football. And I'm not anti-college football. It's just that, I mean, good heavens, we have teams in the Big Ten. Now, in football, it's once a week, and you spend the weekend, and nobody's missing all that much class. But in basketball, you have, and women's basketball and all your other sports, you have teams traveling from California to Rutgers,
mm-hmm.
from California to Maryland, from
mm-hmm.
Maryland to California, and the ACC, Cal and Stanford every other week during the season had to spend a week on the East Coast. So don't tell me about student athletes, because we're not interested in that. We're interested in the money, and it's the football money. And so if you're going to have to compete against your football program for money, then you may as well take a very public stage to explain the problems that exist.
I just wonder if it's going to change. Like, I bring that up to say, Maryland had certainly within the Big Ten, what they were promising revenue share-wise was in the top half of the conference, and I guess the report is now that they were willing to go up to being number 2 behind only Indiana for basketball. I like these teams that are playing in the highest levels of football. I'll say it this way, Dan. The Duke is by far the most the best, the biggest brand in all of college basketball, the most successful, the most profitable, all of those things, and yet nobody's looking to add Duke into their super conference. Like, nobody wants them. Can these athletic directors, aren't they just sort of left putting their arms up in the air saying, hey, look, we want to be good at basketball, don't get me wrong, but we have to do this. We have to be committed to football because football is where the money is.
Well, somebody told me that a 6-6 football team is much better for the coffers of a university than a highly successful basketball team. And I don't know whether that's true or not. I assume that it is because, a lot of these places have 100,000, seat football stadiums. And so I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. Okay, you can have a super conference, but that doesn't, we're talking about super conferences for football. A super conference isn't going to help a basketball program's financial situation. You have to be the SEC, and you have to be making scads and scads of money to be able to share it so that your basketball programs can be successful. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that I don't blame Kevin Willard one bit. And I don't think it was any distraction for Maryland. And I think Kevin Willard exposed a problem that exists not only at Maryland, but at other places. And I think the end result of it is going to be that they're going to provide more resources for the new basketball coach than they provided for Kevin Willard.
How good, how desirable of a job does this become now, right? Like, if you have a job at a Power 5 program, I know a lot of people talked about Buzz Williams, and maybe he's just unhappy at Texas A&M, and that makes sense. But how desirable of a job really is Maryland at this point?
I think that's a personal preference, Glenn. I don't know what Buzz Williams is thinking about, but I know that if it were me, and as I say, I don't know any of the details, I would think hard about leaving an SEC job for anywhere. Mm-hmm. Because in the SEC, that conference has made a concerted effort over the last 10 years to improve their basketball infrastructure, to improve their facilities, to improve the quality of the coaches they've hired, and to pay their players premium rates is, in the last couple of years. Now that we're like fully into this, paying the players. And let's not talk about NIL. NIL means name, image, and likeness. That's what Cooper Flagg does. That's what Caitlin Clark did. They made all their money from commercials. We're talking about the schools paying the players. So let's be right up.
Yeah, the revenue sharing is coming, yes.
Yeah, well, revenue, you're still going to have revenue sharing, but you're still going to need extra to pay the players. Because let's face it, let's say the revenue share for Ohio State is $22 million. That's what they're going to get. Well, they spent $20 million on football. So how much of that is left for the other programs? And so whether it's revenue share, whether it's what we, euphemistically call NIL, whether it's a combination of the two, basketball programs, if they're going to have the kind of success that all these fan bases want to have, they're going to have to be willing and able is a big word to me. They're going to have to be willing. Most schools are willing, but are they going to be able to raise the money to spend what they need to spend to have a successful basketball program? And I don't know, based on everything that I read, even with the comments that people made after Kevin Willard left, I don't know that Maryland is a basketball job where that's going to be the case.
I think it's fair to ask that question. I think that's true. Dan, there's a lot of someone who threw their name into the hat is a beloved figure in Maryland basketball history. The great Steve Blake came out and said, "I want the job." And he's not a jokester. He's not a social media personality when he says that. It's because it's very genuine. And I love Steve Blake, and I think everybody that ever watched Steve Blake play would say he has the exact temperament of someone that would make a great coach. That said, we've watched the Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. We've watched the Juwan Howard at Michigan and the Chris Mullen at St. John's. Have we gotten to the point where we know that going the route of beloved former player but not a ton of coaching experience is just not the way that you can go in hiring a coach?
I certainly wouldn't go that way. I think there are an awful lot of really good coaches out there. And I mean, now we've seen that, they bring people from Division II to Division I schools who have success. If you can coach, you can coach. And so there are a lot of really good coaches out there. I also think that schools get in this thing where they don't want to hire an assistant coach, that they want to hire somebody with head coaching experience. I think that if you're a place like Maryland, you think outside the box. Let's face it, Maryland's in the Big Ten. I mean, as far as I know, Michigan and Michigan State and Ohio State and Purdue and Indiana, they're not thinking about going someplace else. And so Maryland's going to have to compete with all these people. And so I just think you need to, you need the resources and you need the right person. And I'm not sure that a beloved former player without a lot of coaching experience is the route that anybody should go. And I love Steve Blake too.
Right. Oh, man, he checks every box of someone here like that guy could, but it's just not the way that it works. It's just not the process. Dan, now that we know it's the 4-1s, who to you is the favorite of this group going into the Final Four?
Well, I'm not going to everything I read says that Duke is the favorite. And so I'm not going to go away from that. I saw Florida in person, and I think Florida is really good. I have said this entire tournament when people ask that Houston, nobody's talking about Houston as the potential national champion, but now they're right there. I think any one of these four teams could win the championship. I think that it would be wonderful if we could have these teams play 7-game series against one another because I think they're all that good. But our tournament is one and done, and that's what's the most fabulous thing about it. So I think any one of the four teams could win, but I would give a very slight nod to Duke.
What does your life look like now moving forward, Dan Bonner?
Well, I'm home now. I get to visit my grandchildren. I get to drive my tractor around the farm, and so I get to go back. This is what it's like. Stan Van Gundy was telling a story about his daughter, about how they were talking on the phone, and he said, we got to go tomorrow. It's really a long day. We got to go to these practices and meet with coaches. And he said, so it's long. It's like an 8-hour day. And his daughter said to him, wow, Dad, an 8-hour day, you know what most people would call that? And he said, what? And she said, a normal work day. And so that's the point, is that what I've been doing for the last 5 months isn't normal. It's wonderful. And so now I get to go back to having a normal life.
That doesn't sound so bad. Dan Bonner, appreciate you taking the time for us this morning. Enjoy to you and Stan and Kevin together. And hopefully we can do this. Once we know who the coach is, maybe we can have some conversations again then. Thank you for taking the time this morning.
I'm happy to do it, Glenn. Thanks for the invitation.
Dan Bonner with us here on GCR. All right, let's grab one more break, and then we come back. We will see if Jeremy Conn still has pants on. And I'm just going to say no, probably not. But we'll find out next. Glenn Clark Radio.
March is a slam dunk at Live Casino. Catch all the basketball action and more at Sports and Social. Enter our $80,000 Dolce & Gabbana giveaway on March 28th. And catch the Baltimore Baseball Jersey giveaway March 31st. Take your shot at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Want to improve your golf game or learn to play for the first time? The Baltimore Golf Academy has fun, instructional programs for the beginner golfer to everyday players. The Baltimore Golf Academy can take your game to the next level. Enroll today at baltimoregolfacademy.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Final couple of weeks for this print issue of Press Box. David Rubenstein on the cover. Stan and I had a lengthy sit-down with the new Orioles owner. Go get it. Good profile of Tyler O'Neill inside that print issue. If you haven't picked it up yet, while you still can, get to your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can also read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Winding down before Griffin and I get out of here and go to join everybody partying downtown. Let's check in and see if our next guest is still in any ways sober. I'm going to say he currently still has pants on, but give him 5 minutes. He is, of course, Jeremy Conn, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Am I going to win or lose the bet? Do you currently still have your pants on, pal?
I never even put pants on today, even when I went to work.
Why would you bother? Why would you? How are you? Or did you wander inside somewhere right now? How is it that there's not screaming in the background?
No, I went I'm home already.
Oh, you already ducked out?
Taken home. Well, no, the problem was so I thought I had tickets for today, fell through, and then I could have easily gotten some earlier, but I'm going to the game on Thursday, so it's why not come home today, just enjoy it from home, and then go watch the game on Thursday. So that's kind of what I did.
All right. At what time did you notice the first person had passed out this morning at Pickles? What was the first point?
Dude, we didn't have a passing out, but there was a guy at, I want to say it was 9 o'clock, right at 9 o'clock we were coming back, that was throwing up in the trash can.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
Like an ungodly amount. And then the worst thing that he could have done is that he threw up all over the clean trash bag that they had hanging off of the side.
Oh, no. Oh.
Everything's vomit.
God. This is
It's 9 o'clock. How long could you have been there to do this?
I don't ever want to discourage anyone from going to hang out with the Big Bad Morning Show on 105.7 The Fan on opening day. I'll never understand the fascination with 6 a.m. I'll never get it. I'll never in my life understand. And I was a man who enjoyed day drinking. I loved day drinking. Was the best drinking. But to me, it would either only be one of two circumstances, as you point out, the people that are not going to the game. We don't care if we ever make it in. We're just going, and we need an excuse to get drunk. That's the way that it goes. If you have any interest in going to the baseball game, I'll never in my life, you cannot survive 6 a.m. to 2:30. It's not going to happen.
No.
And there's nowhere to go nap. You're not going to find a place to squeeze a nap in between the two. It ain't happening.
Well, there's nowhere comfortable. And the thing I was trying to explain today is even the bathrooms, they start to fill up. You got the porta potties outside. And I don't mean this to sway people from going, because it's an absolute blast to go. They had people bobbing for oranges right before I left. But
great. That is great.
There's so many. Yeah,
that's great.
There's so many things that I look at. I was telling somebody else, doing these live shows, and maybe this is a PSA for people. I love talking to people. I love talking sports with people. I love talking whatever. It doesn't matter. But my favorite thing and my least favorite thing about opening day is seeing all the people you haven't seen in a long time. And then my least favorite thing would be seeing the people you haven't seen in a long time. It just depends on who it is.
I already had this conversation. I said at the beginning of the show today, we're both going to be at the same thing today, and that's fine. I'm going to watch the baseball game. That's what I'm going to do today. When I get down there, I'll say hello to people at Pickles, and then I'm going to go in and watch the baseball game. And if you're there and you're texting me, hey, we got to hook up tomorrow. Tomorrow's a fine day to hook up. Today, I'm just going to go watch the baseball game. And if we bump into each other, awesome. Awesome. So cool. Good to see you. But when you say, dude, I'm in section 75, I'm going to say, have a great time.
That's never happening.
Have a wonderful time. I'm not coming to visit you in section 75. This isn't on Thursday when you're there. There might be 3 empty rows in section 75. I'll come over and sit with you. Today, I'm just going to piss somebody off when I wander over. I'm just going to miss the game. I'm not doing it. I love you. Enjoy your opening day. I'll see you soon.
Well, Glenn, and I'm sure that just like myself, you get many text messages on the same day. And like, in all honesty, I want to see everyone.
Yes, of course.
But I just can't.
It's not going to.
I can't see everyone
Right.
and watch the game, too. And,
It's not happening.
Try to enjoy myself.
There's obviously a much bigger story that we have to address, and I know it's the elephant in the room, but today is the 30th anniversary of Tommy Boy coming out in theaters, Jeremy Conn, and that's the only real reason why I have I had you on the program today. Tell me how it is that Tommy Boy most impacted your life.
I hope this is the only thing we're going to talk about today, because I don't care that it's also the 30th anniversary of the Orange Crush, if you were wondering about that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Tommy Boy and the Orange Crush ironically came out at the same time.
Sounds perfect, actually.
So that movie, and again, I would say this. I would say it was more of an Adam Sandler guy when I first came up. The celebrity death that had the greatest impact on my life was when Chris Farley passed, and I still have. Yep. I have the Baltimore Sun that had the announcement of his death in the entertainment section, or the whatever it was. I think it was entertainment at that point. But no, like that was a classic movie. It's like the stupid comedy. I don't know how many times I used the verse, yeah, well, at least the Friars are still open, and do the whole meat lovers in the trunk thing.
100%. Not so much here. Not so much here. Just right here.
You can literally do anything from that movie. Is that for me, Dad? No, son, that's for me. She's like a 10.
Yeah.
And Bo Derek being a perfect 10, which for people that don't know that. But like, yeah, that movie.
And Rob Lowe looks literally the exact same today as he did in 1995.
That's kind of creepy, right?
It's nuts. It's nuts. Him and Paul Rudd. I don't know what's going on there, but the two of them have not.
Well, Paul Rudd seems natural, whereas like his seems like he's had some work done.
Well, he's definitely had some work done. Like, there's no doubt that that's part of the story.
Well, I'm saying Paul Rudd hasn't. So like, I would
sure?
put him in, like, what the hell have you been eating?
I don't know, man. I think that's part of when you sign up to be in Marvel movies. I'm pretty sure they say like you're gonna have to get. You better be doing Botox every couple of weeks.
Hey,
like
Ruffalo, you're getting a little chubby.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's part of the deal when you sign up for that franchise. So you agree to do it. Tommy Boy to me was my favorite. Like it was the first film that I loved, right? Like that I loved. Like to be honest,
mine was Billy Madison, so you can kind of understand.
Yeah,
like, our
sure.
parallels.
I watched Tommy Boy 150 times in the span of like a year when it came out on VHS. It was everything to me, and part of that was I was a fat kid growing up, right? Like, so Farley was, and when I was out in Madison a couple years ago, I went and visited his grave. Farley meant everything to me, and yeah, I mean, like it was like a religious. My wife,
I'm jealous of you.
My wife didn't get it. We were supposed to go to New Orleans for the Ravens Monday night game, but my wife somehow didn't realize the game was on Monday night, no matter how many times I told her it was a Monday night game, and she didn't take Monday and Tuesday off of work. And she was like, well, I can maybe get Monday off. Can we get a red eye back? And I said, Margaret, it's New Orleans. It's not a business hub. Nobody is flying at midnight from New Orleans. It doesn't work that way. You're there to get hammered. That's the point.
Exactly.
So we had a weekend and nothing to do. I had taken all of my play-by-play responsibilities. I had taken off for the weekend, and Maryland was playing at Wisconsin. So I just said, let's go to Madison instead, right? I'd never been, and then we just had to search like Madison things that we could do. And thankfully, Melissa Kim told me a few things. Our buddy Josh Charles randomly had spent a lot of time in Madison. So we went out and we did all these Madison things, and I remembered that it was Chris Farley's town, and so I said we're gonna go do Farley things in Madison, and one of them was we went and saw his grave, and like I was crying, and my wife did not understand at all. Like it was a very difficult moment in our marriage where I was losing it, and she was just like, "What are we doing here? Why are we?"
I wish I could have been there to hold you. And
I
help you
wish
through
you
this
would have
whole
been.
situation, because I totally get it.
Oh man, it was a powerful moment for me.
It was a rough time for me when I found out he passed, man.
Yeah, man.
Because even watching like Black Sheep and some of the other movies, the ancillary stuff he did, being in Dirty Work.
Oh God, he was
Saigon Horse.
Yep.
Like it's. I thought that Chris Farley was the type of guy that could walk into any room and ultimately be the funniest guy in the room at that point in time.
Yes, and he was he was, and would do anything. Did you ever read the Chris Farley Show, the book?
I have not, but it's something I should.
You should absolutely read the Chris Farley Show, dude. It's just a collection of people telling stories. It's just all first person. There's no author. They just weave in David Spade for a couple of paragraphs, and then Chris Rock, and then his brother, and then his it's an unbelievable. But when he was in the worst of his addiction, and thought that he couldn't get work, he begged Lorne to let him come back and be on SNL, and Lorne agreed and let him host. And he was doing, there was a skit where he was on an exercise bike, right? And there's big, fat, completely out of shape, but yet still willing to do any amount of physical comedy possible, Chris Farley, and afterwards begging Lorne to tell him that he did a good job. Just because he was so in the throes of addiction and he so wanted to make people happy, he's just begging, boss, was I good tonight, boss? Was I funny tonight? He didn't work there anymore. God, man, it is heartbreaking, but it speaks to his brilliance. It speaks to how badly he wanted everyone to love him. Oh, God, man, I love Farley and Tommy Boy.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff that they talked about, even the dirty stuff that would be something you get canceled for today.
Yeah, correct. Right, yeah.
That's hilarious, man. He was so good at everything. And I remember hearing the interview with Bob Odenkirk, who talked about he hated the fact that he did the Chippendale skit with Patrick Swayze, which is one of my all-time favorite SNL skits, because it kind of encompasses everything that's, to me, that's funny. You're sitting here making fun of your own body. You're kind of unaware of what's going on at the time. And then, by the way, you have two of my favorite people that I've ever watched on
but
television.
But also owning it. Owning it.
Yeah.
That's the part. This is where I disagree with Bob Odenkirk, because I know what you're talking about. He owned it to the point where, it was sexy. Yes, the concept of the joke was that here's this fat ass that doesn't look like Patrick Swayze, but the way that he owned it was no, dude, this is also sexy. This is incredible what he's doing. He took.
I can't tell you, my best friend's little brother, who was a chubby kid, Casey, I love you, because he's the same guy that mooned Chris Jericho going down to 495 when we were leaving DC.
Okay, that's pretty great.
And it was one of the greatest times of all. By the way, Chris Jericho was in the same car as the Nasty Boys and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, which we were going.
Sons of
why the hell are
bitches.
these
Sons of bitches.
live
the bit, you assholes.
But the whole dance thing where he's crossing his arms and flipping his head back, God bless it. That poor kid Casey, that was his dance move all the way through high school. That's what he would do on every song.
Yeah.
And he stole that from Farley,
Oh, God, I love that man so much. Oh, I love that man more than I could possibly describe. All right, pal. Who do you think should be the next basketball coach, real quick?
I mean, look, I like the rumors that were out there about Buzz Williams, even though he's more of a throwback. Some people talking about Nate Oates. I like the idea of it because I think he's a really good coach, but I'd also like to play defense in Maryland at some point.
It's not real. Nate Oates isn't coming to Maryland, for God's sake. Some guy on the internet started that rumor. Some guy.
Yeah. And, I mean, the Buzz Williams stuff was supposedly live, but then I heard he's got a $14 million buyout. And again, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, that's also not true. That was apparently there was just a database error that was made by USA Today that made it read $14 million. It's not true. I'm also not really sure. We know how much Buzz Williams wants the job. I still haven't been able to decipher how interested Maryland is in Buzz Williams. It's this bizarre scenario.
That's the guy I heard from Jump Street that was going to happen from reliable people.
I had heard the same thing, but I then got the sense that was more coming from the other side of the conversation than it was from the Maryland side of the conversation. I got the sense that it was, but Buzz Williams would drive himself from College Station to College Park today if only they would let him. If only Maryland would allow that to be the case. All right, pal. Normal week ahead for you?
Yeah, I think so. One of the cool things that I'd like to say is that, They mailed him out equipment, and I think Ed's going to be able to do the show
that's
from
dope. That's great.
Florida now.
That's great.
Which it's been a big fight with our radio station because it's so ridiculous that they won't let some of these guys work from home that are able to. And like, I don't care. I'll drive into the station every day that I'm healthy. But like, let's say I had my back surgery and I'm able to talk in a week. Why wouldn't you let me work on my show from home? It just makes sense, you know.
That's a conversation for another day. I've talked about the fact that, like, hey, I'm going to the beach with my family, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't take a couple of hours to do the show. I'm still happy to do it. I'm just going to be at the beach with my family, and no, not allowed to. Okay, sure. Well, there's one guy that never. All right, we're not going to talk about that. Never mind. We'll just move on.
It is what it is, man.
At JCon Sports, ConcreteLocks.com with 2 N's, and, of course, the Big Bad Morning Show, 105.7 The Fan. Love you, buddy. We'll talk again next Monday, all right?
Thanks, man. Enjoy the home opener.
See you, pal. Jeremy Conn helping us wind down. Can we save Tidbit for tomorrow? Is that okay? Because
Yes, so it was an important one.
Or is it?
Yeah, because
Can you do a quick one with anything that doesn't involve trivia? No trivia.
Okay, fine. Dylan Carlson's going to be wearing number 15.
Ah.
Who are your favorite Orioles that wore number 15?
Who are my favorite Orioles that wore number 15?
Can you name any?
I don't know that I can. Orioles who wore 15.
I got the full list here.
Quick.
Most recent, someone wore it last year.
Did Kevin Millard wear 15?
Kevin Willard did wear number 15.
Yeah, why is that the number 15
So
that
he's
I
your favorite
remember?
number 15?
No, he sure as hell is not.
Yeah, for 3 seasons, Kevin Millard sported the number 15.
Okay. Who else?
Last year, for his brief stint here, about 2 months, Austin Slater.
I didn't remember that he wore number 15.
Neither did I. He wore number 15. The year before that, another great, everyone loves this guy.
Did Jerry
as well.
Hairston wear 15?
Jerry Hairston did wear number 15. Yes, for 5 seasons?
I feel like I have another guess.
Go for it.
Did maybe talk myself out of this one. Did Matt Wieters briefly wear 15?
He did, yeah. Matt Wieters did.
Like when he first came up?
Yeah, when he first came up in 2009, he wore number 15.
Okay. I think that's a list of 15s that I got for you.
2 years ago, another mid-season acquisition.
Quick, we got
Jack Flaherty wore number 15.
Legend.
Chance Sisco apparently before that was the that was his number for about for as long as he was here. There's the notable ones. Craig Tatum wore it. Let's see. Craig Tatum.
Who?
Craig Tatum.
Who?
Sam Horn that we talked about.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
All right.
Sam Horn. Disco Dan Ford.
Disco Dan Ford wore number 15.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember that.
And Davey Johnson wore number 15.
Okay.
Oh,
All
as
right.
did Hoyt Willem.
Hoyt Wilhelm. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
There you go.
That's your tidbit, everyone.
That's tidbit for today. Now let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Obviously, Orioles home opener this afternoon, 2:35 first pitch as they take on the Red Sox on Masson, Sean Newcomb, Cade Povich. It's also on MLB Network in the rest of the country, so you can watch it there. Locally, Maryland women's lacrosse takes on Penn this afternoon, 4 o'clock on ESPN+. Weird non-conference game. Whatever.
Big Ten's kind of smaller, right?
The Elite Eight continues on the women's side tonight on ESPN. TCU and Texas at 7 o'clock. Haley Van Lith tries to make the Final Four with a third different program, as obviously she did it with Louisville and LSU previously. And then also UConn USC tonight at 9 o'clock, which I assume is significant for our pool.
Go
Very
USC.
significant.
That USC. Go Southern California.
Not going to be easy. Boy, but South Carolina made it really interesting this weekend. God, I thought Maryland had them. And then obviously yesterday I was, of course, rooting for South Carolina. And so I was living and dying in those moments. Well, yesterday. I wasn't on Friday. Friday I was rooting for Maryland. And God damn, that was a hell of a
Doing pretty good with my women's bracket.
The Crown gets underway today. That's the real reason why we're wrapping up the show early, is so we can just watch some hoops the rest of the day. Utah Butler, George Washington, Boise State, Nebraska Arizona State, and Washington State Georgetown. It all starts at 3 on FS1. Baseball, Rockies-Phillies at 3 locally on MLB Network. Then MLB Network will have Rangers-Reds 6:30, Braves-Dodgers 10. Masson 2 for Nationals-Blue Jays at 7:07. MLB TV for Cubs-Athletics at 10:05. That's the free game. Monumental Heat-Wizards at 7. TNT and True TV, Celtics-Grizzlies 7:30. Rockets-Lakers at 10. NHL Network for Wild Devils at 7. And Netflix for WWE Raw at 3 o'clock from London today.
Oh, okay, sure.
Which is also the real reason.
Oh, that's
I'll be the guy sitting at the ballpark watching Raw on my phone.
Yeah.
And I will not be, I promise.
No, I believe it. You will.
I will barely watch Raw tomorrow.
American Idol at 8 o'clock tonight with no more Bachelor in the 8 p.m. window on ABC. So American Idol moves to Monday nights. That's really the big one. Let's see. Jennifer Coolidge and Sarah Bach will be on Kimmel.
I don't even know who Sarah Bach is, if I'm being totally honest with you.
She's in Severance.
Oh, well,
That's
then I guess
that's
I can't do the bit. Yeah, that's damn.
Jack Black.
Also, what is Jennifer Coolidge plugging? Because she's the only person that's not on this season of White Lotus.
She's apparently in the Minecraft movie.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough.
As is Jack Black.
I'm gonna have to take my kids to see that.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Oh,
have
boy.
a lot of fun with that.
Looks
Let me
truly
know.
awful.
Let me know.
Yeah.
And Nathan Lane on Seth Meyers.
I did watch some of that show, the
Mid-Century Modern.
Yes, I did watch a bit of it. It's pleasant. It's
Okay.
not
All right.
it's not brilliant. But it's pleasant. It's very watchable.
And then the big thing, Netflix has a looks like this should be a book club, or Gone Girls, the Long Island serial killer.
Oh,
yes.
All right.
So it's about on Gilgo Beach, where they started recovering bodies. Like I guess I don't know how I don't know the exact timeline, but it started in like 2010 when they like started finding like remains of these women, and then they finally arrested somebody like 2 summers ago. And connected with it. So
Remind me,
looks-
because it might be a while
looks-
before we do. Unfortunately, with the Baltimore baseball tonight coming back, tomorrow night's going to be like the last book club for a minute.
Gotcha.
It's a
What's
bummer.
tomorrow's book club?
The search for the worst person on the internet. Is that what it's called? God, the search
gotcha.
for the apple cider. God, it's the apple cider. The search.
Oh yeah, that she
for
like,
Instagram's worst con artist. That's what it is.
Yeah,
The search for Instagram's worst con artist.
She was Australian? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
it
still
was?
have to finish. It's Belle Gibson. I just sort of started it the other night, and then I realized like I was going to forget all of it so tonight I will be spending time with it ahead of book club
All
tomorrow.
right, have fun.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's very nice of you. We're going to go have fun at the baseball game. Thanks today to Dan Bonner. Thanks also to Mike Bordick, Lou Merloni, Jeremy Conn. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the...
Can you take me high?
Right back to that, tab at GlennClarkRadio.com.
Well,
I get it. We got nothing else. Tomorrow on the program, Patrick, of course, will join us.
Yeah. Katie Pumphrey will join us.
All right. She's swimming the harbor again. I'm looking
She
forward to
is.
that. They're swimming from the Bay Bridge to the harbor again.
Yes.
Stuff and things. All right. Very good. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Baltimore's Classic 5 Golf Courses, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, The Costa Sin, Maryland Sports, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday. Go Birds. Duke sucks.